Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Rabbi Eliezer Melamed Shlita. Here we are on Thursday. As we continue our learning, please continue davening for Chaylei Tzvah Gana Yisrael, for Shlomo Choptzua Yisrael, return of Ran Gvili L'Kvuras Yisrael. We learn each day Leilin Shmaser and Daniel Shimon Harav Doron V'Shali. And please always keep in mind our brothers and sisters in Israel, as things seem to be percolating, to say the least. We'll see how things play out. Everything is in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's hands, and we have to live each and every day knowing that. So we begin a new chapter, the chapter Yotes of Chazarat Hashatz. Tiknu Anshe Knesset Hagdola, she'achar she'yispalu hayechidim Tefillah Shmona Esrei, yachzor Chazan ala Tefillah b'kol ram, kedei lahotzi dei chovas haTefillah elu she'enim yodim le'yispalu b'kochas atzmam. So Anshe Knesset Hagdola, the men of the Great Assembly, they instituted that after the individuals daven their silent Shmona Esrei, the leader, the Chazan, the Baal Tefillah, repeats it out loud so that those who didn't understand on their own what they were saying, then he could be motzi, he could have them in mind, and they could then fulfill their obligation. However, this was not instituted for Mariv, me'ikara, or me'ikra, he tefillas reshus, because at its very essence, it is what's called a tefillas reshus. It's not an obligatory tefillah. Therefore, one who's not an expert or does not understand would not be a requirement to have someone motzi him. So you might ask the question then, if the Chazan is saying it out loud, why does he have to do the silent Shemona Esrei? So the Chazal instituted he has to say the silent Shemona Esrei as well, so that he could have his own tefillah in order. And part of this enactment as well is that even though those who do know how to daven on their own, many people today, nevertheless, they're still required to listen to the repetition of the Shliach Tzibor, and they should answer Amen after each one of the 19 blessings. So since Chazal instituted the repetition of the Shemona Esrei, we say it even if every single person in the minyan knows how to daven. In a similar vein, after it's been permitted to write down the oral tradition, and included in this is the language of davening, and we have sidurim all over the place. Every shul has sidurim, and therefore there is barely a minyan that has an individual that needs to be listening to Chazarat Hashatz in order to be Yotzei. Nevertheless, the institution, the Takana of Chazal, does not move from its place. This is the principle. That after Chazal institutes something, we don't start quantifying, qualifying, and saying, well, it applies here, it applies there. The Takana is the Takana is the Takana, and it stays in place. V'od, not only that, we also have the addition of Kedusha, and we also have the blessing of the Kohanim. And if you're in Israel, as I was recently, it's always such a great treat for me to be able to hear Duchening. Here in Chutz La'aretz, we only hear it on Yontif, so it's still a novelty every time I go to Israel and to be able to hear it every single day. But since that's part of Chazarat Hashatz as well, and if a person does not have that, who would get rid of Chazarat Hashatz, you wouldn't have Kedusha, you wouldn't have Duchening, or Birchas Kohanim. Al Pi HaKabbalah Nisbar, according to the Kabbalah, it is explained, so aside from the simple reasoning, which is to be motzi someone who's not an expert in saying the Shemona Esrei on his own, there is a deeper and inner meaning and reasoning for the repetition. That has to do with the two obligatory prayers, and this allows them to work better, so to speak. Silent, repetition, shachris, mincha, v'lachein gam hayom, so now that we don't have the real reason of Chazarat Hashatz, you might call it the simple reason of being motzi somebody who doesn't know how to do it, there is an inner sod. Again, this is a bit Kabbalistic reason. There's something about saying it out loud. And therefore it's a tremendous zechus, tremendous merit to answer Amen when the repetition is being recited. One shouldn't learn Torah. And some say that even the Chazarat Hashatz is on a higher level than the silent Shemona Esrei, and even though it's called the Tefillah of Amida, she'inyana amak ve'elyon, because it has deep and lofty meaning to it, mutal omer b'kol ram, you could say it out loud, ki mirov ma'alasa in chashasha haklipos yisa'achzu ba. You could say it out loud because of its lofty levels. There is no fear that the klipos, the outer things that taint, things that we do in a spiritual realm, will grab onto it. Okay, I'm going to pretend like I know what I'm talking about here, but this is Kabbalah, so this is a little bit above my pay grade. But this is the way the Rav writes. We have to make sure that people are listening should not have it ruined or defamed by having any sort of external speech. The Shulchan Aruch says that people that talk and mumble during Chazarat Hashatz is a sinner, and he has a great sin to bear, and we should chastise and castigate this person, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, Chazarat Hashatz is important, either for the simple reason or for the Kabbalistic reason. So with that, we have now begun a new chapter, and we ask you to continue davening for Charlei Tzvah Yisrael, for Shalom Chol Tzvah Yisrael, Turn of Rang Gvil with Gvuras Yisrael, Nishmat Sarendeng Oshimena Rav Doron V'Shem Shakir Damo. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time. Have a great day.